The countdown is live and it resumes this beautiful Saturday morning. Welcome to Hotsports, easily the longest running sports show on Nigerian television. Well, it's no news that the World Cup is almost upon us, and boy oh boy are we fired up for this one. For a quick breather, we'll go straight to the Eagles camp, the Eagles Watch. This time around, we're live in their camp to bring you some interviews and of course a clip of their training. We'll be right back after this.
Nigeria, we're behind you all the way. It's your time to shine.
Don't you think you are taking a lot of risk playing so many friendlies before the kick-off of the World Cup? Because you play Czech Republic after this, you play England. Don't you think you're taking a risk?
I saw these injuries yesterday in the final, of course, and I was so sad for Mohamed Salah and for Egyptian team that really we have to avoid the injuries. That's why we have to be careful. And now that I think the pitch will be very heavy after the big raining you had here in Port Harcourt. So this kind of pitches can be a little bit dangerous. So we will be very careful, but we also have to test and to play. And to find our explosivity, to find our speed, to be able in the duel, to win the duel in the air, on the ground. And so we cannot make only a training session. We want to play a real good game. We only have 3. To test some of us, it's very important, and to find again together after the long months. Since March we didn't play.
You'll be submitting your list. The deadline is June 4 by FIFA. And you'll be playing another game after the deadline. Don't you, by chance something goes wrong, what are you going to do?
Yes, that is why the players I don't conserve. They are substitutes. They are standby players. We are 27. The players who will not be in the 23 are able to replace injured players. The FIFA allows us to replace, and that was happened 4 years ago with Chijile when he had injury, a hamstring. He was in the 23 and he had to be replaced. So you have to send the medical report and FIFA can allow you to replace.
What do you think you want to do better than what other coaches have done with the Super Eagles? This is the 6th time they are going to the World Cup. Now, do you think you can cross the second round?
I don't have any pretension to do better than them. Already to come out of this group will be very, very difficult, because when you have Argentina, number 6 in the world, when you have Croatia, number 12 in the world, when you have Iceland, number 18 in the world, and we are number 47. So really, we have to stay humble and say, come out of this group already. Would be wonderful to finish in the 2 first positions of these 4 teams. I think our group is a very interesting group, because the best football world is represented. You have South America with Argentina. You have Africa with a good team. I think we have a good team. We have Europe with 2 styles, different technical style from Croatia. You saw yesterday 2 Croatian players playing the final, Modric and Lovren also for Liverpool. So they have final players, and we have with Iceland a team who is one of the strongest one physically. They are really very strong, playing in the air, other style of football. So it will be interesting for everybody to go there to play these matches and to learn also, to progress. It's not finished after the World Cup. I think this team will have the maturity in 2022 to be really very, very strong. I can say to all Nigerian people that we will fight, we will have a good attitude, positive attitude, and make honor to this big country.
The Super Eagles, once again, they are getting ready for the World Cup. This is their 6th attempt at the World Cup. You were the first one, USA 94, and this is the 6th one. Can you really look at Nigeria and say we have made any progress since our going to the World Cup started in 1994?
Well, I think we have. It's not that big of a difference, though, because they have not actually superseded what we did. So we're hoping that this group of players will, go beyond what we did. And I'm just praying for them to go out and play for the country, because Nigeria is right behind them to give them all the support they need.
Yeah, looking at the team, do you think they can do more than what you did? Because it depends on the quality of players in the team that you can talk of going far or not going far.
Well, we have good players, and we have, like I said earlier with other interviews, we have young players that are doing well in their various clubs, and we have a little bit of, experience behind them, the likes of Mikel and Igalo. And the most important thing, we just need to see how these guys will perform today and the other games that are left. That will give us confidence, hoping that they will do better than what we did in the World Cup.
Follow Hotsports on social media. We are at Hotsports NG on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
Early Saturday morning, bright and early. We thank you very much for joining us. We're live on Hotsports. And yeah, my guys are in the studios. It's time to get up close and personal with Tony Swimpy. How you doing, bro?
Thank you, I'm good, bro.
It's good to have you join us. And right there beside me is Tolu Olasoji. Tolu Olasoji is the deputy editor at Go Nigeria. Thank you very much for coming, Tolu.
It's my pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you guys join us.
Thank
All
you
right,
very
guys, remember that the social media platform is on your screen. Do well to reach out to us live at Hotsports NG, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Guys, let's go straight to the thick of things. One of the biggest news coming up in this week is the fact that Real Madrid's coach, now former coach, Zinedine Zidane, has retired. From the top of it, what do you think should have informed such move? Let me start with you, Tony.
I think it is always good to always take a bow when the ovation is loudest, because in this case, Zinedine Zidane has actually achieved all that he needs to take at Real Madrid. So I think this is a very perfect timing for him to actually take a bow and then go on to the next challenge. So I don't know what the next challenge will be, because he's yet to tell us where he's headed to, but I feel like it's the right time for him to actually take a bow.
Remember that for every best of information, you can definitely log on to www.hotsporttv.com. Still sticking with Real Madrid and the UEFA Champions League final, we saw Liverpool just didn't do enough to get the better of Real Madrid in that one. 3-1 it ended. But interestingly, an Egyptian lawyer, Basham Waba, is saying he wants to sue, or rather, he has sued Sergio Ramos for a tone of €1 billion because of the emotional damage and physical hurt it did to Egyptians and Mohamed Salah. Guys, this is quite interesting, but this is quite serious as well. I don't know, but I don't want to sound unfortunate, for Liverpool fans, but Tolu, you look at a football game. A football game is combative. It's a physical contact sport.
But according to the European Union of Judo, why use that takedown that isn't really permitted in their own sports in football, and then using it to some extent to win a European trophy? But they call the takedown wakigatami also. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but then it was intentional.
You think it was?
Yeah,
but I don't think it was really.
No, I actually saw a clip of him doing the same thing on Dani Alves in their last UEFA Champions League final. I think UEFA Champions League final. But he was so fortunate not to, the old Salah issue, not having his arm dislocated and all that. So I feel the only problem I'm having here is that. I don't know how serious this is. This is the whole lawsuit here. I don't know how serious they're going to take it.
I don't think it's.
I don't think it's going to go ahead like that. It's just something for the media, for us to talk about and discuss. But then it was intentional.
Well, I think the only person that can really say it's actually very intentional is Ramos himself. And Ramos has come out to say he feels no iota of guilt, because it's a football situation, and these things tend to happen. If the likes of Frank Lampard has also come out to say that these things happen in football. The coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Gernot Rohr, has pointed out some weak links in his team, and he feels, Tolu, rightfully, that the fullback position is a cause of worry at the moment.
For me, the right fullback position isn't really cause of worry, aside from the fact that Tyrone Eboyi came off with a knock and then Abdoulaye Shehu replaced him in that game against DR Congo. But the main bone of contention here is the left fullback, where we have the not too trusty but experienced Erasin Echejile and then Olaino, who made a madcap decision of, hacking down the player while he was strong go, and then he still had some players in a couple of yards in front of him too. So I feel, for me, if I were given the opportunity to, it's a real opportunity.
Which you are not.
Drop. So I feel I'll still want to have Aino and Echejile perform at a high level against England today. So, but then I'm not really sold on Echejile. He's not had so many games this season. He's had just 12 games, 9 league games in 2 loan spells away from Monaco. He had one at Bruges, then he had the other one at Sivasspor earlier on in the season. So he hasn't had the best of season. I know has had good season when it comes to playing time, because he went away on loan from Chelsea to Hull City, and he played in almost all the games there. So for me, I feel I know did himself not too good by hacking down the player. But again, I'm not sure something we might that might come in handy, given the fact that we have a certain Simi Nwankwo who is almost on the plane to Russia. He showed us the long throw prowess we've always been yearning for since JJ Okocha. So Simi Nwankwo connected to the ball, and then the goalkeeper parried it away, and it was one bright highlight of the game. So. But then their major job is to, defend. We know for sure we have our first choice right back and our first choice left back, which is Brian Ido. But people are actually talking about the experience Erasin Echejile brings in. But then when you have experience, but you don't have, the main requirement of being a left full back, that's no experience.
That for you
that's no experience. So that doesn't really work out. But then Olaino did himself not too good. A friend of mine said maybe Roy is giving him a lift to England because he stays in England. Obviously, he's giving him a lift to England to probably drop him there.
Possibly. So that's a wicked move.
Yeah,
we've got 5 fullbacks and 4 will go to the World Cup. Gernot Rohr will definitely have a tough time deciding just who to drop out of the 5. But one thing is almost certain, Tony, that would have Francis Uzor in goal at the World Cup. Rohr seems to have found a bond for this particular young man. Is 19, and do you think it's got what it takes to probably man that goalpost ahead of Ezenwa?
Yeah, the Deportivo La Coruña's goalkeeper has actually done himself good thus far. In the few games he has actually taken the goal for the Super Eagles, he has actually done well. Not particularly exceptional that we would want as the people out there, but I think if the coach is actually grown close to you, I think that's a good sign that you're doing your job well, because the manager knows the best, and we're not in that position to speak or to decide for him. So for him to grow close to the goalkeeper, I think that's a good one. And coming by his age, which is 19, I think that's a good one too for the future of
Nigerian football. There are a lot of goalkeepers, a lot of young players coming through the ranks. So you wanted to add something? Yeah,
the fact that Gernot Rohr has been preparing this guy for this position for a long time. Maybe people didn't see it. He actually sent one of the goalkeeping coaches to Spain, because Uzor keeps in the B team. He actually did the senior team for a couple of games, like 4 games. Then he moved lower to the B team, so he's actually been preparing him for this role since mid-season. He sent a goalkeeping coach over to Spain to get him up to shape for senior football at the World Cup and all that. So I feel for the goalkeeping department, I think it's done and dusted.
It's almost settled.
Yeah, we've seen it. The old recent friendlies, Poland, Croatia, Poland.
Serbia,
yeah, thank you. Serbia, and then DR Congo. He's been the one manning the post ever since he came on against Argentina, and then we got back winning 4-2. He's been there. So I feel for goalkeeping situation,
it's almost done
we've
and
got
dusted.
every problem, but that isn't one.
Definitely for Francis Uzor, probably will be that man to be at the goalpost at the World Cup. And one other thing that will definitely may not be happening during the World Cup is the NFF elections. Barrister Solomon Dalong, of course, who happens to be the sports minister, has come out to say, hey, why would you have a particular election while the World Cup is going? He believes that the World Cup should take center stage, to take the focus for the particular team and not any form of election. But we'll definitely be looking at how things pans out during the course of the week. So to other juicy stories at the moment, not the very best of time for Nigeria's very own Blessing Ohagbere, finishing 7th in Eugene. And she actually started quite good in this particular year, but not the very best of times. I'm definitely sure that she would bounce back. She, at some point this season, finished 2nd, but definitely right now she finished 7th behind Marie-José Talu and, of course, Morel Ahoure from Côte d'Ivoire. I mean, Côte d'Ivoire enjoying some great times in terms of athletics. And, of course, it's going to be an amazing discussion here on Hotsports in the main issue. The big issue at this time, the guys are still very much in the studio, Tony Swimpi and Tolu Olatunji, the deputy editor for Go Nigeria. The interesting issue when we come back from this break, please remember that the social media platforms are very much on your screen, and the phone number to send your text messages to is also on your screen. The fact that Gernot Rohr dropped the highest scoring individual in the Nigerian Professional Football League, does it speak well for the team? Does it speak well for Nigerian football itself? Does it deserve to be in that team? Junior Lokosa up next. Oh well, so if you're just joining us on this beautiful morning edition of Hotsports, we've missed kind of a little bit, but this year is the crux of the issue. The issue of the Nigerian Professional Football League, where we saw that Junior Lokosa, the highest scoring individual with 18 goals in 20 games thus far, is not going to be going to the World Cup. And this particular issue has met a lot of analysis and a lot of angles, bringing divergent opinions. But what do you think? Remember that you can send a text message to us on the screen, and of course send messages to us as well on our social media platforms. But we'll hear the views of the gentlemen in the studio with me at this time, Tolu and Tony. Tolu believes that Junior Lokosa deserves to be in that team, going to the back of his form, while Tony said Gernot Rohr is the one that made the correct decision. There was no place for Junior Lokosa in that team. So Tony will open the floor at this time, not at least the floor, but would open his thoughts with his opinions. Yes.
Yes, I feel Junior Lokosa is not supposed to make the team to the World Cup. Going by what Gernot Rohr has actually decided to cut down on the team. Yes, the stats favor him. Yes, 18 goals in 20 games thus far is a very good one. But looking at it against the people he's up against in the team, the strikers, as Ojo Igalo, Kelechi Iheanacho, and Simeon Nwankwo. Except for Simeon Nwankwo, the rest of the other guys are out there. They're already starters, so he wouldn't even stand a chance. But on the other hand, looking at it, I think the manager wants to take the perspective of Simeon Nwankwo being a player out there in Europe. You know, Tony is already starting to get the engine revved up. So it's just an opening thought. Just hold on a bit. Let's have Toulouse.
Okay. He talked about him not standing a chance against the likes of Kelechi Iheanacho and this thing. I mean, this guy has 18 goals in 20 games. That's like the highest for any Nigerian striker in the world currently. And the ratio also, Kelechi Iheanacho is a shoo-in. But I feel it doesn't seem right, like dropping the guy out of the team. I saw him in the game playing on the flanks, and to me, it was being set up to fail. But then he still performed his duty. You saw the technique he used in winning Nigeria that free kick, and then they used one training routine to get ball to William.
I'll take you from there. Going back in history, I think history has a way of repeating itself. And if you go back in history at times of when Nigerian players or the Super Eagles team go to the World Cup, you have the strikers are majorly from either Europe or out there. And when I mean out there, not playing in our local league, that's the NPFL as it is right now. Go back in time, let's say France 98, the strikers that we had were playing in Europe. Go back to Korea, Japan 2002, the strikers that we had were playing in Europe. So I think the manager is going by informed decisions or going by the history as well or the track record of Nigeria playing in the World Cup and the temperament and the experience of these players playing in that tough, they'll be able to understand what it is to play in that tough. And then going to Russia, which is also Europe and then cold and winter and all of that, it gives a more perspective to a player who plays in Europe, who has experienced that as well, compared to a player who plays in our own region, which is more how I put it, not temperate compared to you playing out there in Europe.
So Tolu, I think I see some disapproval on your face. You want to share that?
Yeah. Moses Simon made the team. He's going there. He's going to England to have final checks up and this thing. And we all know that Moses Simon isn't going to be fit for the first 2 games. At least he's not going to be fit. So why waste his thought? I don't know what the aim is. We already got 4 players out. So Moses Simon should have been the 4th player, and then a player from the list also becoming the 5th player. Like I said earlier, I feel the player what's it called? Lokosa hasn't been given a chance to prove himself.
A fair enough chance.
A fair enough chance, because he actually played on the flank, and later he turned to side midfield from a 4-3-3 formation, which he started with, to a 4-3-1 formation. So, yeah, and even though he was too cautious in his approach, like getting the ball back to Tyrone Ibueye at any given chance, he had to, move forward and all that. But the fact still remains, he hasn't been given enough chance. Simeon Nwankwo played as a 9 all through the game. Maybe Rohr could have gone for Lokosa coming into the game second half. Then you can. Yeah.
I like the train of thought so far, but let's take a look from this angle. What does it mean that the highest goal scorer in the NPFL, that's the only outfield player, because the only other player going is a goalkeeper? What does it say about the league, guys?
Well, Rohr has said severally that he has always not preferred NPFL players due to some factors, due to the kind of training they are exposed to here, due to kind of the playing style they play and the likes. But then you have these 1 or 2 players that would crop up sometimes like that, like Junior Lokosa. You still have exceptions. Like for the AFCON 2013 win we got in South Africa, we had a certain Sunday Mba who scored the decisive goals, and he scored against Ivory Coast, he scored against Burkina Faso in the final. So you still have these sort of players, and I feel Lokosa is that kind of player.
That kind of player as well.
That could have made the team. But I won't defend the league here. The league has so many rots in it, but then...
But on this particular call, you disagree with the coach?
Yeah, Gernot Rohr should have gone. Normally, Simon.
Tolu has actually spelled out most of my points for me, and then the league has chunk load of work to do, and there's so many development that still has to be done. There's still a lot of growth that still has to be done in the league. Going by we hiring a German coach, it still spells out what his decision is still going to be based on. He's going to feel like he's coming from Europe, where they feel like everything is professional, which is professional, and going to our league, which is far less professional compared to even South African league that's so major. So Junior Lokosa is just a victim of a league that is still growing, a league that is yet to blossom, a league that is yet to still give that bang to the player or stabilize, and that's still going to produce that player who's going to bust on the world stage and make an impact.
And that's where the curtain falls on the main issue on Hotsports this Saturday morning. This gentleman have done a fine job x-raying this particular feat about Gernot Rohr's decision to take Junior Lokosa out of the team going to the World Cup. But what's your thoughts? Remember that the phone number to reach us live on via SMS is on your screen, and so as well is a social media platform at Hotsports on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're on the home stretch this beautiful Saturday morning. We thank you very much for joining us so far. Guys, we want to thank you very much for coming to the show. Tony Sweepy, thank you so very much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
We definitely will have you definitely very soon. And Tolu Olatoji,
thanks for having me.
This is not, it's good to see the face behind a lot of stories that we'll get to read on Go Nigeria. All right, guys, this is where the curtain falls on today's edition of the longest running Nigerian sports show, Hotsports. Remember that you can log on www.hotsporttv.com. Do well to follow us and have discussions with us. Feel free at Hotsports NG Twitter, Hotspot NG Facebook, and Hotspot NG Instagram. To come your way again next week, Saturday, remember, take care of yourself and each other. My name is Babajide Guerrero.